weeks in a row.
Yes.
They've been very gracious. And I just want to mention that there is translation, traducción en español. Nobody needs? Okay. But I want to thank our translator for being here. So I think I want to do this. So before we get started with our principal panel, we're just going to do a little bit of an overview and look at what it is when you're looking at high school. There's some things that are a little different than when you were looking at kindergarten or when you were looking at even at middle school. And so to start our program, we want to just start with a little bit of an overview about what kinds of things you might be considering when you're thinking about high school programs. And then we'll introduce our principals, and they'll have a little time to just say a few words about their program, their high school. And at that point, I think we're going to sort of just open it up to your questions. So let me just get a sense first, how many people have already toured at least one high school? A lot of you, about half of you maybe? Okay. And who's toured more than one high school? Okay. We've got the tour people, they're on it, they're touring. Okay, that's good. So one of the things that Penn really emphasizes is it's very important to get out and see all the schools. So you start with the school that is your school of residence, your assigned school, and then any other schools that you think you might be interested in or have heard something about or just want to know about. And the reason that's important is that schools change. People have stories about schools maybe from when they were in school or when their mom was or their uncle. And it's really important as part of our community conversation about our schools that people have current information and not old information. Because while history is wonderful and important, it's not the same as the now. So let me go ahead and start. So you got a number of handouts. But let's start with just sort of what's different about high school. You have more courses to choose from. In Pasadena Unified, you have something called College and Career Pathways, which there are, I think, 8 right now. 3 at John Muir and 3 at Pasadena High School, and 1 each at Blair and at Marshall. So that's something that's unique to this district and is an option that you have. There's a lot more going on, and students are going to be making choices about things that they're interested in. Sports, clubs, there are a lot of opportunities for leadership, and as our friends from College Access Plan will tell you, that's a very important piece of sort of the student kind of figuring out what they like and what they care about and where they want to, what they want to pursue. And it's something that colleges will look at as well. And then, add to that point, you are already then preparing for graduation and beyond. So there's a lot going on at high school, needless to say. So in terms of the course options, we're talking about electives maybe within the core subject areas, science, math, social studies, world languages, the arts. As well, in the pathways, there are sort of these college and career pathways specific electives. You have advanced placement classes, which may, if you pass a test, qualify you for college credit at some colleges. There is the International Baccalaureate program, which in the diploma program, by the time you get to 11th and 12th grade, if you were at Blair, you have another option there, whether to try to go for that IB diploma, which is a very rigorous course of study. And then there's also the possibility when you're in high school of actually getting college credit while you're in high school. Either because you're enrolled in a course at a high school which is being taught by somebody with a community college credential, and you actually get credit both for as a high school course and as a college course, or because you're taking a class on your own, maybe over the summer, at one of the community colleges and getting college credit at that point. And then the college and career pathways, I'll let the principals say a little bit more about that. So, or actually, I'll say a little bit more about that right now. So these are programs that allow a student the word pathway kind of makes it sound as if you're getting on a path and to take you to this destination. So if I'm going into the Law and Public Service Academy at at Pasadena High School, it's because I want to be in law, or I want to be a policeman or something like that. Not necessarily. The idea with the college and career pathways is really just to kind of get a little bit of a taste of what's beyond high school and even beyond college in terms of where your studying is potentially going to take you. And it's not geared to point you and really funnel you into a particular career. It's more to give you an idea of what it's like, how the things you're learning in school are going to apply in the world beyond school. So there are, with that, internship opportunities, there are job shadow days, there are special field trips where you're actually going out into business places and really kind of getting to see how things work. So it's a program with a lot of opportunities attached to it if you choose that. And it in no way limits you from going on to a four-year college, from doing it. It prepares you for college, but it also doesn't limit you to a particular career. That's the main thing I want to say about that. It also kind of gives you a little bit of a school within a school at the larger high school. So you're with a cohort of students who are also interested in that area, that career area, or exploring that career area, I should say. And you have still the opportunity to take classes outside of that, electives or honors classes outside of that. Internship opportunities I mentioned, and maybe some of our principals will mention what some of those are like at the pathways that they have at their schools. The one thing that I will say is that at Muir, the whole school is wall-to-wall academies. So they're sometimes called academies and sometimes called pathways, and I'm not going to get into the distinction. You may hear one or the other and think of them as we're talking about the same sort of thing. So at Muir, all students are in one of three academies. At PHS, Marshall, and Blair, you have an option of going into one of the academies or not, just being in the general mainstream program. And you can start out in one pathway and then make a change, but generally not after 10th grade because you're kind of one course is preparing another set of courses. Okay. And did everybody get the stapled handout that sort of lists, it's got a lot of words on it. It's black and white, that's the one, hold it up, yep, that's it. So that actually lists, it's kind of a table to give you an idea of what the different high school options are, both in terms of which pathways are at which schools, how many kids are enrolled at those schools right now, so how big they are, what are some of the electives. So you're not going to read all that right now, but when you get home you can kind of go through and see and sort of compare across schools what are some of the things that they all have, what are some things that are different at different schools. Okay, likewise, sports, clubs and activities, leadership opportunities, you're going to find these at all of the schools in one form or another. So it's kind of a question of which form is going to be more useful to you as you're looking. So the preparing for graduation and beyond, one thing that our friends at College Access Plan are very fond of pointing out is that you can graduate from Pasadena Unified High School and not be eligible for a four-year college, for applying for a four-year college. So there's something called the AG requirements, which you need to pass with a grade of C or better in order to be eligible to apply to a four-year college. That said, there are also a set of requirements that you have to do just to graduate from Pasadena Unified with a high school diploma. And one of the other handouts we had was very colorful with a bunch of shapes on one side, shows you some of the different varieties of diplomas you can get. There's sort of a basic diploma, there are some things, if you're in a pathway, you might get a particular honor or medallion that goes with that. If you are proficient in more than one language. So there are a number of things that can be recognized on your diploma, and that kind of is outlined in that handout. And then the last thing I want to say is there are counselors available to you at high school. Your student is going to meet them for the first time next spring, I think in March, is it? The counselors go out from the high schools to the middle schools and actually meet with the 8th graders and talk to them about their schedule and actually set them up with a schedule. So that's something that Hopefully you'll get notified ahead of time as a parent that your student is going to be meeting with a counselor, so that you can kind of think about what that's going to involve and what choices they're going to make. Those choices are not fixed in stone, but it would be nicer to get something that you like in the spring than have to wait till the August when it's right before school starts and you're trying to register and having to change your schedule around. And at the same time, we do have College Access Plan. How many people here are familiar with College Access Plan, or CAP? Okay, so we have a whole series of programs where we highlight what CAP does. We have Wendy Duran here who works with CAP. And basically, CAP is an amazing resource available to PUSD students. They are college counselors. They provide all kinds of help with looking at your college options, with understanding what you need to do to get there, with kind of even thinking through where you might like to go and what that path might look like. So they are at all of our high schools, and they're actually even at our middle schools as well, working with students after school. But at high school, it's a drop-in program after school, and it's a great complement to the high school counselors who are there helping students schedule and plan their schedule, and they work with the high school counselors, correct? Mm-hmm. So that is a very valuable resource that is very good to know about, because it's something that a lot of people don't know about, and it's an immense resource when you start thinking about high school as your pathway to going on to college. All right, so I'm going to run through this fairly quickly, and then we're going to introduce our principals, who are all here. We have two standalone high schools. High school is 9th grade through 12th grade. So we have John Muir Early College Magnet and Pasadena High School. We have two schools that are 6th through 12, and those are Blair and Marshall. We also have something called the Center for Independent Studies, which is a very specialized program for students who, for whatever reasons, work, health reasons, all kinds of reasons, may not be able to do a regular program. That's an opportunity. So I'm going to go through this kind of quickly because I really want to get, how are we doing on time? Maybe I should go right to the introducing our principals.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so I'm going to go through this. So briefly, this is just an overview of our colleges, of our high schools, starting with John Muir Early College Magnet. It is a relatively small, at this point, standalone high school, about 900 students. Is that right, Dr. Gray? About 900, a little less, close? Yeah. And as I said, everybody is enrolled in one of the three pathways, either arts, entertainment, and media, business and entrepreneurship, engineering and environmental science. The early college partnership is something that is quite unique and new. And there's actually a satellite campus of PCC on John Muir's campus, and students, all 9th graders, take a college credit class, and they have opportunities to take more classes through PCC, through this partnership. So that a very motivated student could actually complete their associate's degree, their community two-year degree, at the same time they finish their high school degree. It's possible. So, or some number of courses, which would then be college credit as you go on to college. I am going to say that in particular, one of the things that is also unique about Muir, and is part of this early college magnet setup, is that, that's the fact that they have a block schedule. So they have 8 periods, and they meet every other day. So I'll let Dr. Gray explain that a little further, but that's something that is a unique feature. Pasadena High School is the largest of our Pasadena Unified High Schools. Over 1,700 students. Yes, okay. And about a third enrolled in one of 3 pathways, the App Academy, Creative Arts, Media and Design, and Law and Public Service. Some very interesting opportunities with each of those. Again, I'm not going to tell you all about it right now. What I'm hoping you'll do is you'll tour and then actually see for yourself what these things actually look like. They are also the continuation for the Mandarin Dual Language Immersion Program. So students who are coming through from that program, from field and on up to Sierra Madre Middle, and want to continue with the Mandarin Immersion Program that continues at PHS. They also are the home for the Math Academy at the high school level right now. So students who are coming in the middle schools and are either at McKinley or Washington or Sierra Madre Middle School in that Math Academy program would continue that program with college level work at PHS. And then Blair, which is one of our 612 campuses. The high school is a relatively small high school, but it's part of a larger school because it's a middle and high school together, but with the adjacent campuses. And let's see, so they have the International Baccalaureate program, which starts with grade 6 and goes through grade 10 in the middle years program, and then at that point students can choose to either go for that IB diploma or maybe just take a few of those courses but not try to go for the full diploma. Either way there are benefits because an IB coursework is very rigorous work. They are the continuation at the high school level for the Spanish dual language immersion program. And they also have the Health Careers Academy. And then Marshall Fundamental School, also a 612 school, a larger school with that high school as part of it. And I am saying, I'm not sure if this is still current, Dr. Anderson, but about 10% of the students are enrolled in the pathway, the Academy of Creative Industries. Is that still about right?
No, of the high school students?
Yeah.
No, it would be about a quarter.
Okay, all right. I'm going to update that. And their emphasis is on the advanced placement courses and the arts. It is a permit-only school, so whereas the other schools all have an attendance zone, Marshall at this time does not. So there are typically a relatively small number of openings at 9th grade, but there are openings, and with the current open enrollment system, you really, if it's one of the schools you're interested, you should definitely list it as one of your choices on the open enrollment application. All right, I'm gonna, and then CIS Academy, which I mentioned briefly. And we actually have a parent who has a child here. She's not here tonight, but if somebody's interested in learning more about that, come and talk to me afterwards, and we'll make sure to kind of direct you to where you can get a lot more information because we don't have anybody here tonight from that program. All right, principals, come on down. We had a lot of changes of timing and venue on this, so I appreciate you staying with us. I'm going to ask you to just introduce yourselves and say a little bit about your school and kind of what it is that distinguishes your school, what it is that you would ask people to come and visit so that they could see for themselves. And then we're going to pretty much open it up to questions from the audience after that. So let's just start at the end here and go on down. Does that work for you?
Works perfectly fine.
Okay.
So my name is Dr. Lawson Gray. I'm principal at John Murrah High School Early College Magnet. Thank you for having us. Great to be here this evening. What sets us apart from other schools? Well, first I want to say that all the schools in our district are great. All the high schools are amazing. The principals are wonderful people. We actually work really well together, which is nice, even PHS principals. It's okay. So every school is great. But what sets us apart, I think one of the biggest thing is our 8-period schedule, which makes it nice to have additional course offerings that you can have during the school day, and also our Early College Magnet program. But I'll get more of that later, but just want to mention those two things.
Good evening. So again, thank you all for having us, and I want to thank everybody for just accommodating and making changes to their schedule. Robert Hernandez, principal at Pasadena High School, and so I'll also echo what Dr. Gray said. I think regardless of where you decide over the next 4 years, I think there's plenty of evidence of success from all of our schools, especially where students are going afterwards. And so what I would just say as far as what sets us apart is we offer the comprehensive experience for high school. Our academies are amazing, the 3 academies that we have, and of course I'll be here to answer questions regarding that. But I think also just the approach, looking at getting students ready after they graduate, preparing them for what they are going to encounter, and working with them. and especially giving us focused attention on the transition from 8th grade to 9th grade, which I think for a lot of parents is usually one of the bigger concerns, is moving from a smaller environment and then going up into a larger environment where you have 1,800 students, and just any of the high schools really having that number as far as not getting lost and the concern there as a parent. And so we go through a good effort to really acclimate and get our students folded into the daily fabric of the school, especially their freshman year.
Good evening. My name is David Ibarra. I'm the principal at Blair Middle School and High School. To piggyback off what the principal's already said, every school has something positive, and there's a great experience. I think it's part, like tonight, as a parent, as a guardian, as a student, you should do your due diligence to making sure you find kind of the right niche and the right place for you. Each school is unique in its own way. I think what sets Blair apart, we're the only international baccalaureate, so we're the only secondary IB school. So we have the middle years program, and that's 6th through 10th grade. We have the careers program, which allows them to participate in our Health Careers Academy and still get an IB diploma. And then we have the diploma program. So for students that decide to go into the diploma program over their junior and their senior year, it's 6 college level courses that they're taking. So it's extremely rigorous, and it's a great challenge. And then, and I know Susan mentioned it, we also have the certificate program, and I think a lot of times that isn't necessarily shared publicly. So if you want to do the IB program, but you don't want to do the full diploma, you can still take 1 course, 2 courses, 3 courses, 5 courses, and still get the benefit of the college credit and the journey of going through the diploma program. But I also think another thing that kind of sets us apart, we're the smaller of the high schools. I think being the smaller school, it feels more of kind of a family feel. A lot of our families do make that commitment from middle school and stay with us through high school. So you really get to know, it's kind of a 7-year investment. But for the ones that just joined in 9th grade, I think they really get a sense of being able to be you, come join the family, make some friends. I think, and I know Susan mentioned that in her opening, every school has sports, ways for the students to connect to the school. And I, as a high school principal, I really feel the key to a positive experience is finding something that you're interested in and seeing how you can apply that at the school through a sport, through a club, music. There's just so many opportunities to get involved. That's where you really have those long-lasting memories throughout high school and for the rest of your life.
I'm Mark Anderson. I'm the principal of Marshall. This is my 9th year there. And, you know, as my colleague, Mr. Barra was gasping. As my colleague said, all the schools are very good in Pasadena, and, you know, we as principals all get along well together and work well together. There's a tour at Marshall tomorrow if you want to come as well. One thing Susan said that I will correct is it is a permit-only school. However, there will be a lot of 9th grade vacancies next year. And 10th grade, it's just sometimes it happens, and you're in luck if you're in 8th grade this year, where we have a very large graduating class, so a lot of seniors are leaving, and a very small 8th grade class coming in. We do focus on having a 6 through 12 model, a 7-year program, like Mr. Barra said at Blair. However, we really enjoy having new students come in the 9th grade, and I will tell you that the other students on campus also enjoy new students coming in the 9th grade to mix up the social circles or the dating circles, whatever you want, as well as you go through. What really sets Marshall apart, I don't know if it distinguishes us from the other schools, because I think all of us do so many things well. But you get a well-rounded education, so we really push the academics and carrying you forward and building that. We also have an excellent athletic program that does very well in quite a lot of sports, and a thriving arts program. We have the Academy for Creative Industries, but I try not to think of the school as like programs, but it really builds a culture. We want to involve people in developing all their creative pieces and their creative sides at the school, with a big focus too that when you graduate, some kids are going to go to college, some are going to go to the Army, some are going to go to the workforce. But we want to graduate students with choices, so they're not relegated to something. But our goal is to build them up so they have a choice to choose what they want. And that is our ultimate goal. And I'm a happy person. Marshall's a happy place to be. So, you know, if you're not a happy person, then you can come and become happy.
questions. Is there anything, because we went a little fast at the beginning, is there anything down here that you've just said a little something about the culture of your school. Was there anything you would add to just sort of describe what you think of as the culture of your school?
So, this is kind of difficult because I think every school has a great culture. And the culture is what you make it make of it as a parent. So, for example, my child's at Serramonte Middle School, and they have a great culture at Serramonte Middle School. I have a friend that goes to Washington Middle School, and they have a great culture at Washington Middle School. The culture is all about what you create as parents. I would say, like all of us, we would probably say the same thing. Our culture is inviting. Like Dr. Anderson, we have a lot of fun at Mirror. Like, it's amazing. But we also stress academics just like we stress athletics. So there's something positive about every school, and the culture is what you create at your school. So there can be a bad culture at a school, there can be a great culture. It's just really what your child wants to get involved in, wants to do, and wants to create for themselves. So it's kind of tough to answer that question. I think all of our cultures are amazing at our school sites.
Okay.
So
I wasn't looking for it's better because, just something, if it was something that you think of as kind of being how you think of it as the instructional leader, as the leader of the campus, is there something that you really wake up in the morning and think, this is the tone that I want to set at our school?
I mean, the way I look at it is that every day is Disneyland at John Muir High School.
All right.
No, I get up and I
You're just missing the trash.
I'm just missing the trash picker, but no, really, I mean, but once again, that's, the culture is what you create at your school site. But ours is one of support, but once again, at every school, they have that support. So it's really tough to pick out a certain thing about the culture, because I think the culture is great and the same at every school site we have.
Okay.
And that's just my opinion.
Any additions?
So on that piece, I mean, I think for us, and I think it's the visibility. I think that's when we talk about setting the tone. I think we go to great lengths to be out in the community, to be a part of student functions, to be out so that students, families, and staff get to know us. But it also gives us a good ear as far as what's going on in the pulses of school. You know, a lot of our students are friends with each other outside of campus, and so you know, that's one thing that the four of us work really well together, is communicating about things that are happening on our campus. And so you know, I think just to kind of reiterate a couple of things is going on school tours. So if you haven't, even if your child is adamant about one campus, this is where I want to go because all my friends are going, go tour the other schools. Because I think, like I said, there's something to be said for each of our campuses. But it's one thing for us to tell you, and it's another thing for you to go and see it and experience it. The two things that I do want to plug, regardless of where you decide to go in PUSD, CAP. CAP is amazing. They do a lot of excellent work supporting our students and families.
What does CAP stand for?
College Access Plan. Thank you, Dr. And they have an excellent Twitter account and Instagram if you want to find out more about what they do. But I think the proof is in our graduates and the kids that have left PUSD schools and what they're doing right now. I think that's a testament as well as to the experience and what they've gone through. The other thing is just the PCC courses, and I know like Dr. Gray they have a PCC satellite campus,
Yes.
but we also all offer courses to some degree, and that's something that I would encourage you to take advantage of. One thing I didn't touch base on is just the advanced placement courses, which is important. And that's something that we offer for our students as well. And as parents, it's something you want to start thinking about because that equates to college courses, which equates to money. And the more that you can have students complete either through PCC or through an advanced placement course is important, and it's going to save you money and save your students money if for whatever reason they have to take out loans. The other thing that I wanted to touch base on the academy that we mentioned was just, you know, LPS. So I'm going to use law and public service, for example, at PHS. It's not to say that every student wants to go into law. We have a lot of students who go into the LPS program and come out saying, I want nothing to do with law. Like, I got to do all 4 years. But the other thing it equates to is it helps students kind of figure out what it is they want to do. And the last thing that I hate to see for a student after they leave us is to go and spend 2-3 years in college, leave without a degree and unsure about what they want to do. And so I think having the academies as an option is something that gives students and families an opportunity to see, is this something that I can see myself doing for the long term? Now on the flip side, you get a lot of students who may be kind of 50-50, and when they leave, they are adamant about going into a certain profession that has to do with their academy. But I think overall the experience is also a big selling point of that as well.
Dr. Anderson, before we go to questions, I'd like each of you to just sort of give me a snapshot of what a ninth grader's day looks like. What's the schedule? How many classes are they taking? How long are those classes?
Well, you know, the Marshall Eagles, when they wake up in the morning, they wake you up because they get up early and they make you your coffee in the morning. And they say, Mom, Dad, take me to school, I'm ready to go. But as you arrive, so we are on a 6-period day, traditional schedule, in your 9th grade year, and this is across the district, not the 6-period day, but the classes you must take. You will take an English class, you will take a math class, and you will take a science course. Now, as a 9th grade year by state, you do not have to take social studies, but we do offer an elective AP Human Geography, and I believe PHS also offers that. That freshman can take that to get ahead as an elective. Then you have to take PE. Now, there's a lot of options for PE. You could take a PE class, you could take a dance class, you could be involved in a sport, and that'll also count for PE. ROTC at Blair as well will count for your PE course. And then you have opportunity for electives. So there's the languages. We offer American Sign Language and Mandarin and Spanish, and I believe you get those just about everywhere, and French maybe at PHS as well. Or you could choose an elective around the arts. It could be performance-based art, visual art, and also some electives around the technology courses that we have as well.
So how many electives would a 9th grade student have?
I mean, technically you have 2. If you're thinking of your history class as not an elective, which most people don't, then it's just 1 elective that you go through. So, and it's great. I mean, you go through your class, you get your homework, and you have your friends at lunch, and it's a pretty solid day of just good times.
How about it, Blair?
Yeah.
Anything that's different
No,
about the 9th grade day? Pretty much the
it's
same?
pretty much the same thing. Just some of the courses might be a little different from school to school, but the essence, we're a 6-period day as well, and the same offerings that they would have there, we have with us.
Okay. And PHS?
So ditto on the 6-period day, we do have a 30-minute advisory period at the beginning of every day that we have for students. So I have gotten a few questions around, so like with foreign language, so our Mandarin dual language immersion students who are coming in. It really depends on their level as they're entering high school. We have some students who go straight into AP Mandarin language. We have some students who will go into Mandarin 3, and then their sophomore year elect to take the Mandarin AP course. And for those students who take the Mandarin AP course, the year after is when they would take the it's a Chinese cinema and business course that they take, and that's a course that we've designed and worked in collaboration with PCC on, so the students do elect to take that course. We do have students that are coming from Washington, McKinley, and Sierra Madre that are part of the Math Academy. So as Dr. Anderson mentioned, you know, all freshmen do take math. Their math looks different. We get, you know, I've had questions just regarding those 2 programs about, well, can my students still do these other courses? Are they still able to be a part of the academy? And the answer is yes. And so, you know, when we start moving in towards March, when students start creating their schedules, that's really where they'll have a chance to really sit with a counselor and talk about what their interests are and what it is they want to take in their freshman year.
And at Mirror, it's a lot different, because at Mirror we have an 8-period schedule. So what makes that so great is that you have more options built into your schedule because we have that 8-period schedule. So they have 4 periods per day. It's like a college. How many of you guys went to college? Or JC, okay, perfect. So you went, you had like Tuesday, Thursday classes and Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes. It's very similar to that structure. So therefore the students will have like their English class, their math class, possibly one of their electives and their PE on Tuesdays and Thursdays. On Wednesdays and Fridays, they have their other courses that they have. The other great part about that is if your child is in sports, pep squad, marching band, they're allowed to bypass their PE course in their freshman year. You don't get credit for it your freshman year. That's very important. You do not get credit for playing a sport, being in pep squad or marching band your freshman year for PE. That only kicks in your sophomore year. And you have to take the physical fitness test for 9th grade. But that also allows you to have another course built into your schedule. So once again, that is a great option, and one of the things that set Mirror apart is that you have that 8-period schedule, which allows you to get the college courses built into your schedule during the school day, not after school, during actual school day. So that's pretty amazing to have that ability.
And is there anything, do all the 9th graders take that college, there's a class that all the 9th graders take, is that correct?
So personal growth and development, counseling 12 is the first course all the 9th graders take. And then second semester they take health 44. And then the next year they take speech, and they take sociology or psychology in their sophomore year. And once again, they're getting college credit for that course. And there I get to transferable credits that go to any Cal State or UC, plus University of Arizona schools.
All right, thank you.
And it's absolutely free! Sorry.
That's great. All right, let's open it up to your questions. Who wants to start? Yeah.
With the 4 period a day, does it still run the same length of time?
So it's an hour and a half each period. So on Mondays, we have our, just like all the schools, we have our staff development on Monday mornings. So Mondays alternate between even days and odd days, depending upon the week. But the classes are an hour and a half on Tuesday through Friday.
But school starts and ends at the same time.
Except for Monday.
Yeah.
So at PHS, you mentioned an advisory period, 30-minute advisory period in the morning. How does that fit in terms of instructional minutes? If you have that, does that mean the class periods are shorter?
Yeah, so
But
class
school days
periods
longer?
are about 54 minutes. So the 6 class periods are 54 minutes.
So there are fewer instructional minutes than, say, at a Blair or Marshall class?
Yes.
Yeah, we have advisory 1 day a week for 5 minutes.
We don't have it.
And we have it 1 day a week for 30 minutes.
Okay. And then it's every day at PHS? is
It's
that
every day at PHS.
right? Okay. And what kinds of things are they covering?
So it varies. So we have some of our classes, so some of our clubs meet during that time. We also utilize it as a chance for students to make up homework. It's a chance for students to get tutorial